Welcome back. First video of 2024. I haven't had a chance to be back in the garage for a little bit between the holidays and things at work, and then I got laid up last weekend with a bug, so I am back at it. What I want to work on is this passenger side fender with the replacing the battery tray hole there and fixing up some of the metal here. What I am going to work on that I've been putting off is grinding all of my 10 million welds around here. Not the most exciting thing. So apart from just grinding, if you recall when I put this full floor in, here's my wishful thinking holes to weld this flange on the floor to the, I guess that's the inner rocker, the very back end of the inner rocker. On both sides, I've got that nice gap. I don't know if you can see it there. It's, yeah, not a ½ inch, but more than a quarter. So it's definitely not something that I'm going to go ahead and just put a bunch of seam sealer in there. I would feel a lot better to actually have a metal L in there. So I need to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that. And you can see, yeah, it's on both sides. So either the floor wasn't exactly the right width, or probably more likely, I know someone did work all back here some point in the past, and maybe the last 50 years or so. So I know that it's possible when things were put back together, they were not exactly where they should be. So, or a combination of both. So hopefully I get to that today. If not, that'll be a future video. And you can also see, here's where I relocated the this transition pan. Came with a hole here for the seatbelt mount point, the bracket, and underneath you can see right there, that's the rear frame rail. So clearly that's not going to work. I assume that's because this transition pan came for multiple years. The transition pan came with it installed in the middle, which is where it should be, but then not installed here. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure if you put it here or relocate it. Obviously I have to relocate. So here's where I made the hole, installed one of the older ones and welded it in. But all of that said, I do need to locate the brackets, and I have all the brackets, but I need to locate where exactly they go for mounting the rear seat. I've been looking, it's not obvious in the build manual I have. So hopefully, if you know, go ahead and please put it in the comments or where I can find that resource. I've been poking around forums, and I'm going to start asking a few folks, but that needs to get done. And then this side, there's a lot of dust there, but this side, I got all of my welds cleaned up and finished. On this side, I never did do that. I just I wanted to knock out the floor and get things solid before I came back, touch up a few of my welds, and go from there. For this work, I've got just a full cartridge respirator. I love wearing a respirator, even if I'm just grinding. It filters out literally everything, and then underneath the welder, this one fits nicely under the welder, so any smoke, and especially on the galvanized that I produce, this is going to protect me. And then as I grind, I switch out the welding mask for just these goggles. I really like the ones, God, these are dirty. I like the ones that hug to your face. I've had a piece of metal that bounced off of some safety glasses and lodged into my eye, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. If I'm just grinding and not welding, I usually wear this, just a full face shield that hugs all the way around, just to protect anything from possibly bouncing in there. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that clearly. I'm getting all set up here, and I got my little Lincoln Handy Make kind of tucked on this side of the car, and I have never heard it make this noise before. This might be signifying the end of my little welder. This is going to be potentially very sad times. Let me go around this, see if this is the fan or something else. Hey. Oh, interesting. I didn't touch anything. I just turned off the gas and now it sounds better. The fan's going. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, that was weird. Let me grab the gun and see if we've got any gas flowing. Maybe we're fine? All right, well, I'm gonna keep an eye on it and see how it does. But all I'm doing right now is just alternating, welding up any place where I had gaps or pinholes on my old welds and then grinding them flat. I'm using just an angle grinder with a grinding disc on there, and then my air tool, little die grinder with a little sanding disc on it. Nothing too fancy, just enough to get it flush enough. The original metal had witness marks from the spot welds. This is going to be hidden, knowing it's not an exterior surface, so I'm not worried about getting everything perfectly flat. If there are witness marks for my welds too, that's a-okay, as long as it's flat enough and I've make sure that I've got full penetration and not just gaps in my weld that will weaken it. Okay, hopefully you saw in the time lapse, I went and cleaned up all of my weld holes. I did fill in the holes that I mentioned before on the stamping. This one on this side, because it was all over the frame rail, I just filled it in with weld, ground it flat. On this side, I was gonna cut a hole and kind of make my own patch, and then I'm going, this is silly, it's a circle. I've got washers. So I found a washer of about the right thickness and welded it in, and then welded it the center, the donut hole, if you will, of the washer. And when I work on the other side, I'm sure it's going to look like a washer, and it'll need some filling in. I'm sure I'll touch it up when I get to the other side. I thought I had just about every pinhole hit, and then I look. Of course, once you put everything in one color, it's obvious, and then there's a couple more on the back there. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna have to go through about 10 more times and do this. You know, when I go along and do these welds, it'll be easy enough just to get some of the primer out of the way and take care of it. But, you know, short weekend, I only had a few hours to work on it, and I figured I was gonna be a lot happier getting one section kind of done. Excuse me. One section done and out of the way, and then I'll when I have more time, start moving forward. And just so I can continue that trend, I might do it in, you know, maybe do the back here and then start moving forward, and yeah, eventually just get everything knocked out. I went ahead and just used a rattle can automotive primer. My plan, once I get all the metal taken care of, is to go and strip kind of all of this and epoxy everything. The problem is I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. And what I don't want to do is to have, if it gets too humid in here or anything, rust creeping in. So my plan right now, even though all of this is going to be hidden, is to just shoot some of this just cheap, simple, it's not self-etch, just automotive primer, and then I can come back and easily remove it or scuff it up or whatever the answer is, and go from there. Even that might be overkill. All of this is going to be not undercoated, but it's going to have the sound deadener over it, so it's never going to be seen. Epoxy might honestly be overkill on the inside. But we'll see. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it. Okay, and considering all the seat brackets that I need to relocate, I've got measurements for just about all of them and where they go. But one thing I was looking at, here are the old brackets that I removed from the car. I'm guessing these are original. They're not in bad shape. They need to be cleaned up. They have whatever this gunk is that they put over everything, but they're not rusty. They're not really bent out of shape or anything too bad. So I can go through and clean these up. These are actually in pretty good shape as well. And I can clean these up and reinstall them. That's a fair amount of work, but not too terrible. I need to remove the ones from the floor, do the same there. And then I have this monstrosity from the from the transition pan. There was only one on there. I know there's supposed to be one on each side. I assume it's bent roughly how it should be. I'm debating the amount of work. I'll probably need to make another one of these, and I have the rest of the brackets already in there. I'm just debating. They sell an entire bracket kit that in my mind is overpriced, but I guess people keep buying it, so they keep selling it at that price. I'm just weighing the amount of time it would take to clean these all up, salvage the ones from the floor. I think they go here-ish for the rear seat to lock into. Salvage all the ones from the floor, clean them up, probably make another one of those, and hopefully they're all the right shape and nothing's too terrible, versus the amount of money to just spend on getting the new ones. So I don't know. That's the debate I've currently got going in my head. We'll see where I land on it, but regardless, this is a task for another weekend once I figure out if I'm getting new or reusing the old ones. Well, it looks like my little Lincoln lives to see another day. It didn't have any other issues. It kept up just fine with everything I was doing and no issues. So hopefully it doesn't recur and this isn't indicative of something bad down the road. Okay, if you're still with me, thank you so much. Not as much done as I wanted to, but as Barry says, progress is progress, moving in the right direction.